Hi, this is the Ultimate Frontline Leadership Training Podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Quinn. Today we're going to be talking about how not to be the manager nobody likes. So we've all seen managers in the workplace that nobody likes, or we don't like, or you don't like, and it's usually based on a lot of the stuff that they do or say. And so what we're going to work on today is having a good working moral compass. Okay, a good manager has to have a working moral compass. It's time to seriously work on your excuses and justification processes. So if before you decided to become a manager, you were used to making excuses for why things didn't get done, etc., that needs to stop right now. These will only hurt you at work, and quite frankly, they don't serve you very well at home either. In general, a good manager cannot lie, cheat, steal, harass, manipulate, or otherwise do things that would alienate the very people you want to form a relationship with, such as having a relationship with your team. If people don't trust you, they won't follow you. And if they won't follow you, you'll have a difficult time getting things done and your reputation will suffer. Trust me, you don't want to be the manager everyone's complaining about. Now, company policies usually set a good standard for a lot of the directions you'll take during your day. Get familiar with your employee handbook if you have one. If you work for a small business, you might not have a handbook, but you'll begin to notice recurring themes in your meetings and memos, such as tardiness, uniforms, full-time versus part-time hours, etc. These informal or unwritten company policies will become evident in time. Write them down in your notebook so you can refer to them later whenever the issue comes up, so you can be on the right side of that issue. Or whenever someone asks you, why did you do something? Now you'll have a company policy that you'll be able to recite to them saying, hey, this was discussed in this memo or during this meeting, and so that's why I did this, etc. It'll help you, it'll back you up, it'll be your paper trail for anything that happens. So if you don't have a written employee manual, just start taking notes and making your own. There are also health codes and safety laws that need to be respected so as not to put the public's health in jeopardy. Very important to get a copy of these and study them well. Businesses can get written up or even shut down for getting these wrong. Health codes are usually found in food service safety certification training guides and online tools. Passing these tests in your area will get you the information you need to keep ahead of any problems that ignorance would have gotten you or your staff in trouble. Now, as a manager, you'll be tasked with making sure your team knows and follows these laws. You will be responsible for their actions when they are working under you. Inspecting your team's work, quizzing your team on laws, etc. every now and then are the best way to ensure that you're meeting these expectations. And don't think because somebody passed a test once that they got everything down. These things need to be practiced and quizzed continually so that they're not forgotten. Now, labor laws are also extremely important. You'll need to get familiar with your state and federal labor policies so you won't go and do something illegal and get yourself fired or even worse, sued. All states have labor laws that are published and supposedly displayed in prominent break areas so employees can reference them easily. This is where you can read up on labor laws that you're supposed to be adhering to. Memorize them. They don't change often, and when they do, memorize those changes too. Liquor laws. If you work in an industry that serves alcohol, there are state and federal laws that regulate this aspect of the industry. Liquor licenses are very expensive and need to be taken very seriously. People's lives and livelihoods depend on it. Google your state's liquor laws and learn them inside and out, and don't play games with them. Learn how to cut somebody off if they're exhibiting escalating behaviors that could become dangerous. People's lives are at stake, and not just the people who are getting drunk. Many times, innocent people get hurt when irresponsible people get drunk. You need to be the voice of reason when a customer has lost this ability due to the effects of alcohol and possibly other drugs in their system. Don't let people get drunk in your establishment. If they arrive drunk, don't let them in. Refuse them service if you haven't already served them. You don't need to be the last place they drank before they go out and hurt somebody in public. In some states, you can be sued personally for letting somebody drive drunk, as well as the business getting sued. So make sure that if somebody arrives drunk, don't serve them. Say, I'm sorry, we can't serve you. If you came in here and got drunk, we'd have to ask you to leave as well. You arrived this way, we cannot serve you. If you go out and hurt somebody, I can be held responsible. The bartender can be held responsible. The business can be held responsible. There's a lot of people whose lives can be changed if we do the wrong thing here. So I'm sorry, but this is not a place where people can go out and get drunk. If you just work in a bar, you got to know that this is going to be a little bit more difficult to do because selling alcohol is what you do for a living. But if people start escalating their behaviors, they start losing their inhibitions, and they start talking loudly and start giving you their opinions on everything in the book. This is a great time to stop serving them, because if you take it any further, they will be drunk, and then they can hurt somebody and you can lose your job. So you need to cut them off before they get drunk, not after they get drunk saying, sorry, you're drunk, I can't serve you anymore. Now they go out and hurt somebody, now you're in trouble. You need to cut them off before they get drunk. As hard as you work for a good leadership skill set, you also need to work just as hard on having as few negative leadership characteristics as possible. Now, a good manager is also on the same page as the other managers when it comes to policies and procedures. If a company policy states one thing and you do something else against that, then your leadership credibility is going to take a hit, especially if all the other managers are getting it right. If managers view company policies differently, what are the staff supposed to do to stay out of trouble? Will they have to learn different rules for different managers? As you can see, this is where the problem really starts to get bad. A good manager is a rock of stability, full of information, and a tireless advocate for your team. So keep everyone safe and watch your reputation soar. So study your labor and health code laws and liquor code laws, as well as your company handbook materials if you have some, or take rigorous notes during meetings and memos if that's all you have to go for as well. A good moral compass will be crucial in getting your team on board with your directions. Keep your workplace safe and happy, and everybody will continue to have a great time. And don't forget, one of the most important things about having a good working moral compass to gain the respect of your team is also to be consistent about it. Now, if you write up somebody for being late and then you let other people slide for being late, the people who got written up are going to be butthurt about it, all right? As you would too if you got written up for something that other people are getting away with. So you have to be consistent. Then there are things that, employees do all the time, and once you become a manager, you cannot do this stuff. Like if you take glassware home or silverware home or dishes or whatever, and, that's how you furnish your home is with stuff from work. A lot of employees do this. Managers cannot. The moment you start doing this stuff, and you take a glass home, and your friends or whatever come on over and they see this, they're going to see that theft really isn't a big deal for you. And if you go and write them up for something, man, they're going to come around and say, well, what about that? You can't write me up for this because I'll tell on you, etc. It ruins any leverage you might have when you want to do the right thing and stop negative behaviors. If you're having those same behaviors, they're going to come around to bite you in the butt. So you cannot do the things that you did as an employee while you're a manager. Matter of fact, doing them while you're an employee is still going to be evidence about you doing this stuff, even though you're a manager. They're going to say, remember when you did this? So you're going to need to keep as clean a slate as possible in order to gain the respect and admiration from your crew. What about when your friends come in to, like, say you work in a restaurant and your friends come in? You comp their food? You comp their drinks? Do you think your employees, your staff, your team, do you think they're not seeing this? And you think they're not saying, well, if it's okay for Mike, then when my friends come in, I can comp their stuff too? You have to really keep a very clean moral slate, because any little type of stuff that you do that shows favoritism or shows, selfishness or what have you is going to really be picked up on by all your staff, and they're going to know this stuff. And when they want to go do the same thing and you don't let them, they're going to resent it, if not actually turn you in for doing the exact same thing. So you have to have a good moral compass, or life is just going to get really tough for you. I've had friends tell me about a manager going to a restaurant and ordering a drink with their lunch and then coming back and working. Well, that just told everybody who obviously is going to hear about this, everybody in the building, that it's okay to go out and drink on lunch when you know it's not. So just because you think nobody's watching, really just take it for granted that somebody's going to see and somebody's going to tell everybody about it, and then now you've lost your credibility when you want to go talk to somebody about something. They're going to say, "Oh, I got something on you too, buddy. I saw you out there at such and such a restaurant, having a drink with your lunch, and then you showed up for the rest of your shift." That type of stuff is going to be hard. It's called blackmail, and it's going to be hard to work with when somebody has something on you that you can't get out from. So you cannot go out and drink, while you're working. You can't, comp your friends' stuff. You can't take silverware and glassware home. You just can't do this stuff because it will come back and haunt you. And nobody's going to respect you. And when you want to go write somebody up or discipline somebody for something, they're going to come back and they're going to use that on you. And it's going to make your life really tough. So having a good working moral compass and a clean slate is going to be incredibly important for you. And just remember this: everything you say and do can be used against you in the court of public opinion. I hope this helps, and I'll see you next week.